Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you may be watching this video, at what time you may be watching this video. I just had the leading, I've had it for a while, so I've just decided to just give in, especially with the ongoing celebration of my Bishop David Olani Oyedepo. I decided to give my own testimony. It's a lengthy one, but I'll try to make it as brief as possible. So I was sick. I was a very healthy child growing up, and I fell sick in the year 2011. 2011. How did it happen? I would say it was mysterious because it started suddenly. What started like ulcer graduated to gastroesophageal reflux disease. That's what doctors called it. And it became so severe, and it led to a lot of strange symptoms like heart palpitation. But I started having high blood pressure all of a sudden. I was in and out of the hospital. There were strange movements in my body. My kidney was failing. I was having a whole lot of things. I can't even remember all the names together now. I remember one day throwing away all the reports. And okay, so I was really sick. I was in and out of the hospital every week, in and out every week. For it started slowly, then it graduated. That to 2011 I was still okay. 2012 I was it started, and the first night it really hit, the serious thing started. I was rushed to the hospital. I was there for 2 weeks straight. Then I began, medications for it gradually. Then I went out with my friend, two of them. We went to one of our sister's house, and there, one of this someone, they were praying, and a revelation came suddenly to me from one of the pastors there, that they wanted to use me. Like, there's something that's happening to me, and I'm gonna be like a specimen, like an experiment thing. And it was funny because I'd tried to hide what I was going through perfectly well. Only those really close to me knew what I was going through, and those at work, and my office was a small one, so we weren't much, basically. Let me try and wrap this up. So from that point on, or would I say after that January encounter, that was January 1st. Yes, January 1st, 2013. It got really serious. I was in and out of the hospital every week, every 2 days. I would stay 3 days, come out, be okay 4 days, back again, crises, as for someone who's not a sickler or anything. It was just strange things. So the experiment literally started. There'll be different trials, different tests, different doctors, different hospitals. I knew a lot of hospital in Abuja. I'd gone to a lot then. I would have panic attacks on a regular basis, and I'm naturally not a fearful person. Scenarios like that, and I just told myself, my family members were coming into town to stay with me part-time. One person would come, another person would come. My mom would come, my brother came, my sister came. They were just taking turns to come and stay with me. I couldn't eat a whole lot of food. I went on the diet plan, that ulcer patients normally do. I stopped a whole lot of food. I was eating plain rice, stew, no pepper, no this, no that. I had food in my handbag. I had a small flask, I carried everywhere I went to. I had food in my handbag. I would eat every 2-3 hours, tiny meals, bits and bits. Those that know, what ulcer does. But this was crazy because aside from the ulcer, there were a lot of other things. There were voices in my head. It was obviously a spiritual attack. I don't know if, but it was a spiritual attack. It was something that needed more than the physical encounter. And I sat down one day and I was like, that's how you would just die for nothing. I was quite young. I was less than 24, thereabout. And I was always a Christian, I grew up from a very strong Christian home. We attend as a family Living Faith Church. I was already baptized. I had done my Bible classes before I even entered the university. And at this point, I just finished NYC when the attack started in 2011. Gradually, you know, 2012 was when everything, escalated, and 2013 was when I began to amend. Okay, just keeping the timelines in check. So I was a Christian, it wasn't like, but I wasn't a faithful Christian. While in school, I didn't used to really go to church anymore. When I was serving, I started going to church little by little. Then in 2012, December, I had started, telling myself I needed to be stronger. Even before that revelation of vision or anything came in January, I was asking God, like, where should I worship? I was still new in the place where I resided, and somehow he led me to Living Faith Church Life Camp. That's where I started to go. I rededicated my life to Christ. The then senior pastor was Pastor Gideon Oyedepo. He was my pastor for a few years even after that. And Pastor Oyedepo God began to use the church, I still worship there. God began to use his word. God began to use his servant. Most of the services were like, it was talking directly to me. I started, so after that vision, the revelation, I started to take things a bit more seriously. I wanted to leave. I had cut off, not intentionally, because I was sick. A lot of friends had, not cut off per se, but you're no longer coming out. You're not going for activities. When you go out, you don't eat anything. You don't drink anything. So your company sort of becomes a bit boring. So I was indoors most of the time. When I'm not at work, I was indoors. And thankfully, where I worked, I was like a manager. I, rose at a very early age at the place where I work. So I could take time off, help myself. But I could, fix my time somehow, that God had a way of arranging it for me where I worked. So I started to read books. I got a lot of healing books. This is just a few of them. I got a whole lot of healing books from Papa Bishop Oyedepo and Mama Faith Oyedepo. This is Healing, Health, Wholeness. I got the Healing Balm. I got The Power of the Communion Table. I got Rescued from Destruction, The Blood Triumph, Satan Get Lost, Conquering the Mind. A lot of books, basically. Keys to Divine Health was like, I ate that book, over and over again. I started reading books. I bought tapes. I had a healing MP3 from Bishop David Oyedepo. I started listening to it. I would put it on. I would sleep with it till morning. Thankfully, I lived alone, so I could do all of that, by God's grace. I was reading. I had 3 hours every evening to myself, 2-3 hours in the morning to myself. I would read. I would pray. I would read. I would pray. My faith began to grow. I started partaking of the mysteries of the kingdom. I would use the anointing. I would take the communion every day. In our church, we do something called the blood of sprinkling. I would effect it. Everything in faith. I was reading my Bible every day. Most of the scriptures I still know today were from that 2013. The faith I still have today wasn't the one that my parents instilled in me. It wasn't what happened. It was this trial. I'm trying to sum it. You can't really explain some of the things that, I went through. You can't really put words to them.